All right. Today we're stepping into this really fascinating landscape of logic and illusion. And we're going to ask a big question. What is evidence? And more importantly, how do we find our way to the truth? So let's begin this journey together.
It all kicks off with this really fundamental question. Think about it. We are swimming in information, right? So why is it that so many people seem to reject truth, even when it's staring them right in the face? It seems so obvious. This exact puzzle, well, that's what's at the very heart of our journey today.
So to get our answer, we're actually going to follow two seekers, Salem and Jassas. And we're joining them as they face their very first trial. They're about to enter the dense and, pretty confusing forest of fallacies. This place is basically a metaphor for all the common traps our own minds can fall into.
So what do our seekers find in this forest? Well, it turns out the whole thing is made up of four major obstacles. These are the big psychological hurdles that can really trap our minds in a state of confusion. And here they are: superstition, nationalism, habit, and interest. Let's break down exactly what these are and how they work.
Okay, first up is superstition. And we're not just talking about black cats or walking under ladders here. It goes way deeper. This is about forming any belief just based on a feeling, a whim, or a really strong desire. There's this great Arabic term for it, hawa, instead of, actual solid evidence. It's like taking a mental shortcut that completely closes your mind before the real search for truth can even get started.
All right, the second obstacle is nationalism. And while this one is powerful, it's this tendency we all have to value belonging to our tribe, whatever that tribe is, more than we value the actual truth. So what happens? We start looking for stuff that confirms what our group already believes instead of seeking out information that might, challenge it.
Then there's the third trap: habit and upbringing. This is a great way to think about it. It's like our environment builds these invisible walls around our minds. We just get so comfortable with what's familiar that we automatically assume it must be correct. And anything new or different, we just reject it out of hand as strange or wrong, without even giving it a fair shot.
And the final trap lurking in this forest is interest and power. This is where our thinking gets bent. It gets twisted by what benefits us, whether that's materially or socially. We start, often subconsciously, justifying ideas that help us get ahead, and we become super skeptical of anything that might threaten our own interests. And the craziest part? A lot of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it.
So after learning to spot all these fallacies, our seekers, Salem and Jassasa, finally make their way out of the forest. But they have this huge realization. Just avoiding traps isn't enough. You need a map, a guide for clear thinking. And that's exactly when they discover it. A blueprint for a sound mind, a whole framework built on 8 universal principles of logic.
So this is the blueprint they find, the architecture of a truly logical mind. It's basically a step-by-step process. You start by questioning your sources of knowledge. Then you move on to using the right tools of inference. And from there, you learn how to form a valid judgment. It's so thorough it even makes you consider how you're reading information and what your ultimate goals really are.
And this framework isn't just some abstract academic thing. It's a really practical toolkit for organizing your thoughts. It forces you to ask these super critical questions all the time. Okay, where am I getting this knowledge from? Is this logical leap I'm making actually justified? Is the conclusion I'm about to draw really valid? It's all about building a rock-solid foundation for whatever you believe.
Okay, so equipped with this new framework for reason, Salem and Jassas keep going on their journey, and they're climbing higher. They finally reach this incredible summit. And from this amazing vantage point, they get to witness a grand dialogue, a conversation between 3 major worldviews, 3 different approaches to understanding reality. They've reached what's called the summit of Wasatiyah, which translates to the balanced middle way.
So the first thing they see from up there are these 2 opposing extremes, right? These 2 poles that have really dominated so much of human thought for centuries. On one side, you've got this Western philosophical tradition with its intense focus on the material world, the body, the senses, reason as it applies to this world. And then, on the complete other side, you have this Eastern philosophical view, focused almost entirely inward on the spiritual, on meditation, inner consciousness, and kind of withdrawing from the material world. But then, from their vantage point on the summit, they see something else. A third path starts to emerge. It's called Barzakh, which is a great Arabic word for an isthmus, like a bridge of land that connects 2 bigger pieces of land. And this worldview, it doesn't make you choose between the material and the spiritual. Instead of neglecting one or the other, it proposes the true consciousness actually comes from the dynamic interaction between both.
Now, what's really crucial here is that this middle way,
This wasatiyya, it's not just some lazy compromise. It's not about meeting in the middle. It's actually a higher synthesis. It's about climbing to a viewpoint that's high enough to see what the two extremes on the ground just can't. That a complete, full human consciousness requires honoring both our physical, material reality and our inner spiritual dimension, and it's all about a dynamic balance.
Okay, so once they've grasped this concept of a balanced worldview, Salem and Jossas realize there's just one final piece of the puzzle left. And the question is, what are the actual tools we have to perceive this balanced reality? And what they learn is that it's all about recognizing the entire human toolkit and then using every single one of those tools to build a unified self. And this is it. This is the complete toolkit. A truly complete human being doesn't just lean on one source of knowledge. No, they integrate all 6 of them. You've got your fitra, which is like your innate disposition, your moral compass. You have revelation, knowledge from the Creator. Of course, there's reason, our power to organize and discern. Then testimony, which is reliable knowledge passed down from others. Our 5 senses for perceiving the physical world. And finally, intuition, that flash of inspiration that comes to a purified heart.
You see, this is the path to real clarity. It's not about picking your favorite tool from the box, It's not about saying, oh, I'm just a reasoned person, or I only trust my 5 senses. It's about understanding that every single one of these sources has its own proper place and function. And when they all work together in harmony, that's when our inner self becomes coherent and unified.
And this all leads us to the ultimate takeaway from their entire journey, captured perfectly in this quote. When your self is united, everything in your sight is united. When your self is torn, your sources of knowledge are torn, and your parts fight one another. So what does this all mean? It means that true clarity in how we see the outside world, it actually begins with integration and unity inside ourselves. If our own internal sources of knowledge are at war with each other, then of course our perception of reality is going to be fragmented and conflicted. The journey to truth, it turns out, is ultimately a journey within,